I'm the platform owner for our corporate OneTrust platform. And I'm also the process owner for our global registry process. And I'm also in charge to roll this out globally into our organization. The challenge we are facing is that people who are in accountability for data protection have let's say a challenge to feel what is tangible. So what is the concrete accountability they have? And we are trying to tackle this with a very, let's say, business-oriented approach to bring transparency about their accountabilities. And the key was the usage of processing activities as a main reference point in our registry process. And we created them together with the organization and asked them, what are you doing? We started using OneTrust in 2021, and we were focused on the modules that are facilitating the registry process. So we're using data mapping and assessment automation to enable our registry process. The real benefit was that we had a specific framework of inventory items that we could use. And we also made a lot of benefits out of the interfaces and the integration of information of other sources we have in the organization, because we figured out in a pretty early process design with our users in the organization that they are upset when they have to put the same information twice or three times in several tools or put into several processes. So we searched for a tool which has a high affinity to integrate information from other tools, and that pretty good worked out. And we started then configuring the data mapping and assessment automation process in 2021. We rolled it out 2022 then into the corporate organization and the German organization, which is the biggest one we have globally. We created also a blueprint of processing activities we are taking now through the countries. And our plan is to roll this out globally, independently if there's a requirement locally to maintain a registry, because we are convinced that this transparency, what we are doing with personal data and what are the responsibilities to process the data, is necessary everywhere, independently from regulatory requirements. Additionally, we are using the security incident module, and we built our data breach process for the European Union-based operational units. And we are also looking forward to roll this out globally wherever it makes sense. And the business is also using for about a year, or implementing for about a year, the consent and preference management process. They also want to build up globally, and they are facilitated by the UCPM module of OneTrust. The OneTrust tools improve our processes because they give a really static framework people find themselves easily again. So if we are talking about assets and we put the IT systems from our IT registry into it via an interface, people can easily say, okay, these are IT tools, I know what it is. And the same applies to vendors we are collecting from our vendor management. And I think this static framework, which you can relate items to each other, is a very, very strong feature. And we are really making use out of these relationships you can build, because we developed an executive manager dashboard where every executive manager beyond the board can select the processing activity he or she is responsible for. And then she can also jump into processing activities and say, hey, what are the vendors accessing the data of that processing activity? Where are they located? Or which kind of tools are processing the data? Which are the vendors related to these tools? Where is the information located? And this is something executive managers understand. And this is what we really appreciate, that we can create this value, what is related to the data, and simultaneously doing our regulatory requirements. And we can also show to leaders what is their accountability, so we can produce insights, we can produce KPIs, and leaders love KPIs and insights, right? So we are using the Premier Success service from the beginning on, and it was always clear from the start. We want to have someone to collaborate with, someone who knows our approach, how we want to use OneTrust. And we have a strong relationship to our customer success manager. And we have also a strong team where he is interconnected with in our organization. So I'm not the only one doing this at Boehringer. I have also IT folks who are supporting us and also some external consultants helping us with configurations. And this group intensively interacts every week in a standing call, for example, with our customer success manager. And it is what we are striving for is less than kind of a OneTrust is a vendor and we are a customer. And this is, I think, also part of our success, that we are able to design, build, and deliver pretty quickly because this team is static and collaborating on a very high level for about now 4 years. Top of mind for myself in creating trust this year is that we continue our journey with a collaboration with OneTrust, as well as we are having also a very agile approach how to embed improvements to strengthen our process. And this is also then, I guess, valuable for our customers, because if we have internally transparency on how we are processing personal data, it gets also better clarity about what kind of customer data is used for which kind of purpose. And the value and the trust we want to create is that we know what we are doing with data, and then we can also tell it to our customers.